Hello viewer, come on in and welcome to 54A. Right then viewer, going to do a pen. Not necessarily the right way to do a pen, but my way to do a pen. I don't do many of them, and it's about time I did a video of one, I think. So, first of all, get yourself a decent pen kit. Taylors Mirfield, brilliant company. The service is exceptional, the pen kits are top quality, and they're not that expensive. Very helpful. If you've got a question, just ask Dan. He'll put you right as soon as possible. And I've used a couple of different, the cheap ones you get off eBay, the slimline ones, and they're okay. But there's just something about these Taylors Mirfield ones, just the quality of them is absolutely superb, and I would recommend them to anybody. I'm not getting paid for saying this. You know me, if I believe in something, I'll tell you about it. If I lose faith in something, you see about that as well, don't you? Right then, I'll swing the camera down. Okay, this is going to be a fountain pen made from a piece of walnut. In your kit you get 2 tubes. It depends what pen kit you've got. Some have only got the one. Now if you want the grain to follow on all the way up the pen, it's best that you put a piece on, mark it, just to give a little bit extra, a mil or two extra each end, and then don't put the other one on the other end, because you'll have a big gap of grain where the grain pattern goes. So do it like that. Mark your second one off there, if you know what I mean. So then when it comes to your 2 pen blanks, your grain pattern will more or less match up. So that's that. You don't have to use wood, you can use acrylic and a mixture. Then you'll need drill bits. Nearly every pen kit you buy has to have a different size drill bit, because the tubes are a different size to the kit that you used last time. So drill your holes in your blanks. Then you've got to glue these into there. Now there are a lot of ways of doing this. The last one I did, I used Gorilla Glue. Worked really well. I usually use a medium thickness super glue, just for speed really, and that's what I'm going to use today. First you need to rough up your tube with a bit of sandpaper, get a better grip. It doesn't take a minute. You want that tube to be as solid as possible in the wood. That's it, that'll do. A few drops of super glue, drop it in. The medium super glue just gives you that little bit of extra time. Just make sure it's just gone below the surface of that piece of wood. Okay, like so, because you can sand that off later. That's it. that's setting already. Same to the other tube. Right, while they're just drying off, next thing you're going to need probably is a pen mandrel. Now, I had this pen mandrel some time ago. Pretty basic thing, does the job. Little thumb wheel that goes in the headstock of your lathe, and on the end there's a little indent, and the tailstock goes in that little indent like so, and you put the pressure on, keep everything nice and tight, which is fine. If you put too much pressure on, there's always a chance that you can bend this. I've never known it happen, but I've heard of people talking about it. So anyway, I went and bought this one instead. This is what they call a mandrel saver. This replaces this in your tailstock, and it's hollow, so the mandrel itself goes all the way through, which is a lot better idea, I think. When you tighten it up, you're actually tightening these nice and tight against each other. So that's what I did, that's what I'm using from now on. The next thing you want to do is, as you can see, the tube is just inside by that mil or two. Best to have it like that than too short, otherwise you've got to start again. Now you really need a barrel trimmer. Well, you don't really need one, but they are available. This one is only for a 7mm tube. It's the only one I've got, which is no good. It just wobbles about all over the place. So I do mine on the lathe because that's the only one I've got. I'm not going to buy any more. So I'll show you what I do on the lathe. Right, I've just got it in the chuck of the jaws of the chuck, or even the chuck of the jaws, and just going to get me little skew chisel and just flatten that off nicely. A little bit more. So see, as soon as you touch that brass tube, stop. Same with the other end, and then same with the other piece. Another thing about Taylors Mirfield, if you're new to a kit, haven't done one before, they give you instructions on the website. Brilliant idea. Right then, it's not just a question of buying a pen kit. When you've bought your pen kit, you'll need the bushings. And as I found out when I bought these pen kits from Taylor Mirfield in the Harrogate show, I thought, oh, I must have the bushings. I've got quite a few in my set now, so I didn't bother buying the bushings. And of course, when I got the kit home, I didn't have the right bushings for it. So I just got in touch with Taylor Mirfield. They sent me the bushings next day. Brilliant service. So you assemble it as so. Large bushing there. Better get this in the right order. Another large bushing there. Put that on there. Large bushing, smaller tube. Smaller bushing, smaller tube. and that goes on there. Tighten up and we're ready to go. Not quite tight enough, as you can see, so a little bit more pressure on it. Make sure tailstock's nice and tight, and away we go again. I'm just using a spindle roughing gouge just to take the corners off, but I think the last one I did, I used this more or less all the way down. You can actually get quite a good finish as long as you've got a good edge on your roughing gouge. So we're just going to carry on taking these down more or less to the bushings now. That's what they're there for. Right, more or less down to the bushings now, and I've got to think of, do I want them fat or straight? And I don't like them bulging out too much, so I think I'm just going to taper them down to the bushings each end, and maybe just a tiny bit off the middle, but there will be a slight shape in it, but nothing much. That's entirely up to you how you do it. I've gone over to my little 3/8 spindle gouge now. I'm happy with that shape now. Very slight bulge in the middle. Same there, tapering down to the bushings. Next the fun starts, sanding. Ooh, great. Now there's a number of ways you can finish your pen. A lot of people use CA glue, super glue. I've tried that and I'm not very good at it. I did one, I sanded it down to 400 and used Yorkshire Grit microfine on it, and then a coat of microcrystalline, because the pen gets a lot of use, so the microcrystalline helps protect it against fingerprints and any oils that are in your fingers, and that came out really nice. But this one I'm going to sand it. I've got 8 different grades from 80 grit down to 1200 grit. And we're going to see what it looks like after that, and then I might take it down even further with some sanding pads that I've got. We'll see how it goes. Keep the sandpaper moving at all times. And put your dust extractor on. I haven't got mine on because I'm talking, I'll put it on in a sec. Now really, to all intents and purposes, if you want to do a perfect job, you should really, after each grit, wipe it clean, but I can't be bothered, to be honest. Right, I've got that down to 1200. That's not looking too bad already. Now I'm going to hit it with a bit of sanding sealer and then carry on with the micro mesh, I think it's called. You don't need much, it's only a little pen. Now you can see the grain starting to come out now. Brilliant. Yeah, and I've got this micro mesh sheets, and I've also got the pads. I prefer the sheets, to be honest, and you use it in exactly the same way as sandpaper. You must keep it moving. This goes down to 12,000 grit from 1500 grit, so it sort of carries on from the 1200 grit of the sandpaper. I tend to just fold it into three. I've got a little pad to work with. And here we go again. It's 1800 grit now. Just get a bit of extra light on here so you can see the shine actually forming. That's better for you, I think. $2,400 now. I think you'll agree you won't get a better finish than that just for sanding it down. There you go, look at that. Beautiful. All I'm going to do to that now is give it a coat of microcrystalline. The chestnut one. Follow the instructions. This will give it a nice protective coat. Little tip, get yourself a paper clip. All the pieces you've used, I mean there's still lots of life left in this yet. Put them in order, paper clip, pop them in a drawer somewhere, then you know you can use them again and they're in the right order. And there they are, and now it's just a question of assembling all these little bits and pieces. So go on the Taylors Mirfield website, there's the instructions on how to assemble. Once you've done a few, you won't need the instructions. So this is the fountain pen, so there's the nib. Cartridge, you don't have to use a cartridge, they give you a little pump in case you want to refill your own, but I just tend to put the cartridge in. You can't beat a good fountain pen. When you're assembling a pen, some people say you'll need a pen press, similar to this thing, which I made because I don't like spending a lot of money. But the easiest way I found is put on the lathe. It's a giant press, a couple of blocks of wood each end, you can squeeze the parts together. Most of the screws together, but things like the end cap will need squeezing into the tube. They're very nice tight fit. So I'm just going to get on and assemble this and show you the finished pen. There is the finished pen, all nicely screwed together. It's a lovely finish on that, it's like a mirror, very smooth. Unscrew that, there's your nib. Screw that in the other end so you don't lose it. I've put the cartridge in, let's see if it works. Trouble is I can't write upside down. How's that? Hang on, let's put it all back together again. There you go. Beautiful pen. Really pleased with that. I might just keep that. Somebody will probably want to buy it off me with a bit of luck. I hope you enjoyed this. So it's not very often I do a pen, but these Taylor Mirfield kits are superb, and I recommend if you're going to try a pen, get one off them. It's a beautiful kit, nice bit of quality that is. Take standard cartridges, buy them anywhere, and that's about it, I think. Hope you've enjoyed it. I'll put a link to Taylors Mirfield down below, and I'll see you soon for the next one. And if you haven't subscribed already, I'd love you to. Bye for now.